Welcome back to Walking the Path podcast, episode 4. Today we are going to be discussing spiritual growth and being your higher self. Something that is so general, but I want to go deeper into it today. I want to really give you some clarity in regards to what that looks like. What is spiritual growth? What is your higher self? These are questions that I thought I knew. But it takes a lifetime. It takes a lifetime to really understand and grasp these concepts. So first and foremost, spiritual growth is really expansion, your own expansion. And when you do shadow work, when you do inner work, when you confront those shadow aspects, you're engaging in spiritual growth. Because you're realizing who you truly are, you're being your higher self, which in all reality, you're becoming your higher self. And it's a perpetual goal. It's always, you're always trying to align more and more with your truth, with your higher self. But it's not something that's obtained that just happens and you're forever your higher self. No, you're constantly coming in and out of alignment. And this took me so long to really understand. Like, you're bouncing back and forth between your lower self and your higher self. But we came here to this matrix, to this human experience, to experience both, right? That animalistic side, that cavewoman side of us. And we came here to experience that the spiritual aspect of life, the essence that's making this this physical vessel breathe and function, right? The awareness behind who we are. And I think it's a beautiful blend of both, like, you don't want to be too much on one side, because it's nice to utilize your ego and to be grounded and to be practical and strategize. But it's also good to be illogical and, have big dreams that you believe in, most importantly, that, like you don't want to be too much on one side of the scale, but you experience spiritual growth as you go through experiences, as you challenge yourself, as you get outside the comfort zone. This is really where the magic happens. And you start to become more and more of your higher self. And there's more moments where you're actually being your higher self. And your higher self really is just the best version of you. The most authentic, raw version of you. Once you shed the limiting beliefs, once you shed the people pleasing, once you stop caring about other people's opinions, that's when you start to activate your higher self. You start to be your higher self. But it takes work. It takes so much work, like so much inner child work, and a lot of self-discovery. When I first awakened, I thought I knew who I was. We and that's for everybody. We think, yeah, we have this identity, we have this personality, and that's who I am. But you're so much more. I realized I was so much more. And it took information, digesting information, reprogramming my mind to actually start to get to my own truth, right? Listening to spiritual development speakers, listening to people who have done years of work and now they're sharing it. That's where I started to really find myself and have rapid amounts of spiritual growth, right? I had to go and discover that. I had to go and find that. But I believe in creating your own time, but I also believe in divine timing. So there's a time and place for both, right? Because if you wait too long and say, you know what, divine timing, I don't got to do anything. Let me just sit here, say my mantra, and it'll come. And then years go by, and you wonder why you're in the same place. Speaking from experience. But there's also creating your own time, creating your own healing, creating your own growth. And you make a choice. Once you make a choice, you know what, I I want to evolve, I want to be more. You're going to start to pull in experiences, and you're going to look for them. You're going to create them, right? You're not just going to, again, sit and say mantras. Like, you're going to actually go out there and try to do something with it. But even if it's watching a video, it's so small, my friend. Even just watching a video that levels you up, that makes you think, that makes you reflect. Maybe even this podcast, like you're engaging in spiritual growth. You're finding more of yourself through listening to that piece of information, right? You're in alignment. Every time you're in alignment, you are your higher self, because you have your best programs, your best beliefs running, and you believe in yourself, and you have that love that your spirit has for you. But it takes work. It takes work being your higher self, and many people, they don't want that. They don't want to confront themselves. They're not ready, and that's okay. Everybody has, and that's what I mean about divine timing. Everybody has their own time in that sense too. You never want to look at something that you're not ready to look at. But there's also, again, it's a defined line when you keep making excuses and you keep repeating the same patterns. For a while, I used to drink heavy. Like, I would get a bottle of Bombay right after the gym even. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop next week. It's okay. I'll stop next week. Next week will come by. Same exact thing. There I am. And you get okay. You get comfortable. You feel safe repeating these patterns that are holding you back. You feel safe just not having any kind of growth. Your ego, and this is where the lower self comes in. This is where your ego doesn't serve, but it does in one perspective, because it causes you a lot of pain, and from that pain you want to change, right? You want to grow, because you don't want to you don't want to spend another second in that reality, but you need to go through that. So maybe you're at that point even now, like there's that one thing that if you did, if you stopped doing, things would change like that. For me, it was alcohol. Like I said, it's like, I know if I can stop drinking, I would have more ambition, I would have more discipline, I would have more drive, because I could tell, I was so aware of what the alcohol was doing to me. But when you're trying to run from pain, and you don't realize that there's a gift, there's power behind that pain, you stay in that loop. It's a nice, comfortable loop. And that's why they say most people prefer a comfortable hell than a strange heaven. Because it's true. It's true. But if you want to serve something beyond yourself, if you want to live your higher calling, what you came here to do, if you want that spiritual growth, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to change yourself. And for me, it started with just doing one thing. Learning one new thing that would improve my life, that would improve myself. And I made this decision while I was drunk. What's funny, And I stuck with it. And thank God I stuck with it. Because here I am now, 3 years later, after I decided that, I fell in love with learning. That addiction with alcohol, I moved it to learning. I switched it, right? I switched it with a healthy addiction. And I found so many fractals of myself that I didn't even know were there. I can't believe that at one point I thought I was a loser. I thought I was a failure. I thought everybody was better than me. It's like, once you do the inner work, once you confront those parts of you that you don't want to confront, you're going to be thanking yourself. And the spiritual growth is just, you're going to gain so much momentum with it, right? But it's all progress, and you got to make some choices. You got to let go of some people. You got to let go of some patterns, some things. For me, I had to move out of my parents. I couldn't grow anymore. And I felt so caged. And nothing against my parents, it's just I knew if I wanted more spiritual growth, I had to leave. I had to travel. I had to explore. I had to change my environment. And as I did that, I started getting new experiences, which caused even more growth. I started to believe in myself because I started taking leaps. I invested in myself throughout that whole time, in courses and programs, coaching, you name it. But it's because I wanted that growth. I refused to remain the same. I couldn't be who I was anymore, like I was in a relationship that I wasn't happy with for 5 years. And it wasn't that I was unhappy with after, for the whole 5 years. After maybe like the 4th year, I knew this had to go. But I wasn't ready to feel that pain. And, that's what I mean. Sometimes you're not. But there's a couple things that are overdue. And only some things that are overdue that need to change. I love what Bob Proctor says. If you don't like the way you're living, then change it. Change it. And also Kevin Trudeau, they go hand in hand. He says, if you want things in your life to change, then you're gonna have to change things in your life. I always think about these things when I'm in transitions or trying to incorporate new habits. It's like, how are you gonna have spiritual growth if you keep doing the same things, right? You keep, whether it's freaking smoking, whether it's drinking, popping, whatever you're popping, like, how, and it comes with a choice. Spiritual growth comes with a choice. While you can, because under the influence, I'm kind of contradicting myself here, but I know where it's going. Under the influence, I made that choice. I made that choice of doing one new thing every day to better my life. Maybe you're in that cycle yourself with whatever addiction or whatever habit you're in, but you got to come to a point where your purpose, your calling is stronger than that quick high, than that quick escape, because if you can give yourself at least a week break, be surprised what your spirit can show you. But again, there's also that possibility of even while you're in it, while you're smoking, that your spirit comes in. But it's such a paradox. It's such a freaking paradox. But the whole point is, guys, like, you want that growth. You want to be your highest self, your higher self. Who you are now won't take you there. You got to be willing to sacrifice who you are for who you can become, and go all in on you, right? A lot of the people that I coach with, I have so much respect for, because they're confronting themselves. They're doing the inner work so they can meet themselves at a deeper level, so they can go out and help their clients, so they can go out and share their gifts with the world. You know how much courage it takes? You know what courage even means? You know where it originates from, guys? Courage originates from a French meaning. I can't remember the exact word, but it's a French meaning that says of the heart. Of the heart. Courage comes from the heart. If you have courage, you're coming from the heart. You're walking from the heart. And if you're listening, you have courage. Use it. Utilize it. Be surprised how far you can take yourself. But no one's gonna hold your hand and do it for you, my friend. Put on those big boy pants. And for a while, I waited for somebody to come save me. There was a part of me that, that it's crazy. There's a part of me that wanted that handout, and I realized, no, that's out of desperation. Like, you don't want that. And now I'm so grateful. I am beyond grateful for everything I didn't get, for everything I didn't receive, because I had to go and get it myself. I had to go and create it myself. put the spotlight on myself, open my own doors. So maybe you got to do that too. You want that growth? You want to be more than what you currently are? You got to jump. You got to jump with time, with money, investments, fear even, But I hope you know you're stronger than you think. There's more power within you than you think. And even if you're in a tough spot right now, it's never over until you decide it's over. If you give up, then it's over. But if you take a couple days to reset, to process, and then get back up, that's okay. I took a month off before, and then after that, the spiritual growth came rapidly. It came rapidly. Sometimes you do need to take a step back and reflect, like, what am I really doing with my life? Am I really doing what I need to do? Am I getting myself out there? Am I just slacking off? Like, I think it's called the come to Jesus conversation. You gotta have some of those with yourself. You gotta be brutally honest about who you're being and about who you need to stop being. And once you realize that, you're gonna start being your higher self, my friend. But it's hard. It's hard being honest with yourself and others. But there's so much freedom. You feel so free. And the growth that comes with it, no one can ever take that away from you. If you can have 30 seconds of courage to take that leap with whatever it is, you'll find more of yourself, you'll have more spiritual growth, you'll start living the reality that you actually came here to live. And you'll find more of your value as well. But it's on you. So, yeah, my friends, I hope this podcast episode helped. Again, it's a little different with the lighting here, but I just wanted to change it up a little bit. And just remember, like, it's all a journey. It's all a journey, and you're learning every day. Every day is a new life if you really want it. If you really want, every day can be a new life, and you can make changes. Not macro changes, just micro shifts, and you eventually wake up one day and be so grateful you did those changes. You made those shifts, and the confidence will come, the belief will come. You gotta step. You have to step. I'll leave you with this last story. When I left the personal training studio a couple years ago, all I had was $5,000. $5,000. And I had to decide what I was going to do with that. Am I just going to keep spending it, waste it, or am I going to create some assets with it, right? And for me, that asset was myself. I took $1K, I invested it into a program to help me live my purpose. And then I bought a laptop that same day. I was like, what am I doing? Am I a goofy? I'm making a mistake. I just bought this $1K program, and now I'm going to buy over here an $1,800 laptop on credit. And that was the best thing I ever did. The best thing I ever did, because that gave me momentum. That gave me knowledge that I wouldn't have been able to get my hands on. And that kick-started my spiritual entrepreneur journey. Little did I know. My spirit knew. I was freaking out. My ego self was freaking out, like anxious, worried. But my spirit knew. And you know what? This is the same laptop right here. Freaking Windows. This is the same laptop that I bought a couple years ago. that made me able to travel to Sedona, Arizona, to Phoenix, to Scottsdale, Arizona, Surprise, Arizona. Now all South Austin, Texas. I had this when I was living in my parents'. Here we are. I kept walking. With fear, with tears. It's okay. It's all okay. So, yeah. The whole point of that story is to let you know that you gotta take risks on yourself. You want to be your higher self? You want that spiritual growth? Take the leap. Whether it's buying a new course, whether that'll get you closer to where you want to be, whether it's getting a coach, whatever it is.